Distance and positioning sometimes it can be the hardest thing to figure out as a boxer, depending upon what your opponent's doing. Some guys are just really good separating, keeping away from the punches. Other guys are really good at closing the gap, getting in position for their punches. But there's certain things that you can do to help whichever one you're trying to do, whether you're trying to keep somebody away from you or whether you're trying to get in a good position to be able to throw yours. While you're in a sparring session or a fight and you see like, hey man, every time I go to attack my opponent, he moves out of the way. That's not because he's the greatest at anything, it's because you're telling him you're coming. You gotta figure out what it is that you're doing that's telling them you're coming, and you gotta hide it, you gotta make that smaller, be a little more unpredictable, not be so predictable when you attack. In a perfect world, Jamar can keep me here all day long. And if I don't have a technique or a way or a style to get past his range, I'm in for a long night. But also being short is an advantage. Like Rudy just is really good at getting in the middle of the punches. So if I'm a little shorter than my opponent and they're throwing punches at me, I know I at least have a chance of getting in range to punch. If I'm standing here and Jamar's standing there, there's no way I'm gonna even attack him because I know I can't get past his punch to get to him without him seeing me coming. I got Jose in the middle here, and Jose's quick-footed. Every time I come in, he's just out here. All right, so I gotta figure that out. I just started going after him. He's got all the space in the world because I chose to attack him from the middle of the ring to the ropes. So it might be smarter for me if I just subtly, non-threatening, got him a little closer to the ropes. Now I know his options are diminished. He can't just move away from me. He's got less options, makes it a little easier.
If you are in the middle of the ring and they start going back, if they keep going, don't stop and let them off.
If I am with one of those guys that just kind of always is good at backing away from my punches, I kind of need to back them up before I even think about attacking. Because if I just attack, they're going to back up. And so part of it is recognizing what's happening to you in the ring. Like, why am I not being able to find this guy? Or why am I not being as effective as I usually am? And then solving the problem for yourself. We talked about the perspective of closing the gap. If I'm the taller person and I just don't want this guy in to get close enough to hit me, I can always do little moves. I don't want to let somebody put pressure on me and cut the ring off and make me run and make me try to get away, all right? I want to do my moves slow, create the space, not let them in, just touch. I know they're coming into my range all the time, so I don't have to force anything. I don't have to try to go to something that's coming to me. So think about that. Think as I'm backing up, they're gonna come to me. That's when you can turn it against them and land your punches. So short person, just head movement. Tall person, keeping them off. I know there's not a lot of space, but we'll make it work. Now the shorter guy, use your left hand and your head movement to get closer to them. Use the ring, cut them off. Try to, small moves, quick, more than one move, get them backing up to get close to them. All right, so we'll still use our punches and our head movement again. Switch. Talked about, I think, another video about having small victories. If I'm just having a hard time, like I'm not getting in position to punch, I'm getting hit with big shots, you start thinking negative, you might just fall apart mentally. You got to find something positive to focus on and to be able to build on. A small victory, I recognize I'm not being effective as the pressure guy going forward. Like this guy's just boxing the piss out of me and moving around. Then I have to do something different to change. And whether it's a 4-round fight or a 12-round fight or a sparring session, there's not necessarily a lot of time to figure that out. One thing I can do is if Ben is really good at just moving, staying away, keeping the distance, not letting me in, popping me with the jab, and I'm not getting past this, try it. Okay, I'm gonna make him come after me. He might just fall right for the trap. Boom. It's just something that might work. Using the head movement to close the gap, and Canelo is probably one of the best examples of this. He gets in, he gets you throwing punches at him, and then he's in range. He uses his head movement to make the miss. He'll creep up with the front step because he's generally the shorter guy. Boom, and he's in the range for that. So tall guy throw a straight punch, and the shorter guy slip it, come with something. Use the head movement, but as your head moves, your foot's already coming in. So we're hiding the fact that we're closing the gap with our head movement. important. If throwing punches makes your opponent uncomfortable, it behooves you to learn how to be comfortable with punches coming at you. The more comfortable you are with having bombs being thrown at you, with somebody that's quick, with somebody that hits hard, if you're like, no matter who, if you're in with Mike Tyson, you can just block the punches, you feel comfortable doing that. Then again, now you're making them uncomfortable because now they feel like they're being ineffective. They feel like their punches aren't getting to you. They feel like you're not intimidated by their power. Like we've all seen a guy.
Mentally, I feel like that when you're throwing punches and they're just blocking everything, you're like, God damn, that's mentally break you down too, you know?
Jose Toe style.
Yeah. That's how effective it is. And you see it in a fight where somebody hits somebody with the best shot and they're like, show no emotion and just keep doing what they're doing. Like, A, you gotta learn how to not let that break you down on the inside. You got, all right, now I gotta, well, maybe I'm gonna back them up. You know, like, solve the problem. What we're gonna do is we're gonna have the next one, we're gonna have somebody just throw a lot of punches and you use whatever you need to use to just get comfortable with punches coming in. All right, work. Last one, we're gonna put somebody in the corner and just have somebody throw punches at them. You gotta defend, you can't really go anywhere. And in the beginning I said something about there's an advantages to being tall and there's advantages to being short. There's, I think, some misconceptions on how to effectively fight when you're the taller person and how to maximize your height and your reach. You know, where it's somehow the guy like, okay, you stand just normal stance. If I'm tall, I should stand tall. Now I'm farther away from that person. But it depends on where I'm looking to get. So put a jab on my head, stay tall. Okay. So if he's really tall and I'm really tall, it's kind of, you know, he's okay. But if I use my advantage of being short, now all of a sudden I put myself in range to hit something. Okay, now come down to my range. Do you see how I just backed up 6 inches? Even with a reach finger, I cannot reach anything on him. So that's how you maximize your reach and your height, is coming down here. If you've got me, I'm the guy in the ropes. Put all your weight in your front leg. If you come in here and you're throwing punches at me, right? Boom, boom. I got a chance to hit you. Now show me what I just showed you off here off the back leg. Now just keep running punches. I'm having a really hard time of being able to close the gap on him. And he's keeping me in a bad position. Work. Okay.
Good technical session there, working on closing the distance, staying out of distance, fighting against an opponent that is either taller or shorter than you. Then a little burnout on the bag there, quick 4 rounds. Not every workout has to be as hard as you can go, you know. You've got to be thinking in the gym. Can't just go in there and hit the bag as hard as you can for 12 rounds. You know, all that's going to do is get you better at hitting the fucking bag. That's not the goal. The goal is to improve your skill and get better at fighting. You don't want to just get better at hitting the bag. So when you come to the gym and you're working with your coach, you want to make sure you have a strategy for the lesson, something that you're working on, something that you're doing. As you can see, the theme of today, we do the drills, and then at the end we kind of let our hands go on the bag. You know, there are times in a place when yes, you do want to come in and just go as hard as you can on the bag, and that's totally different. So not every session's got to be like that. As you can see, there's a lot of thinking involved in today, a lot of like learning and trying to place yourself in the right position, and then at the end we can have a little fun on the heavy bag. That wraps up the boxing session for today. I'm gonna get hydrated now, grab some lunch, and then I'm gonna come back and do a little bit of weights.
Forgot to say, and this is important, is when we're putting pressure, when you're making your opponent uncomfortable, yes, we are trying to make them tired, okay? But we're also looking for the one opening that we get. We're looking for ways to score. We're looking for ways to shut them down, to try to change the momentum of the fight, to try to change everything. And yes, if they get tired, it's gonna be easier. And they're not gonna get tired unless we pressure them. But just sitting around hoping that your opponent gets tired is not a successful strategy, okay? A little more successful when you try to make them tired, still not completely successful. We need to have other routes of success than just hoping our opponent gets tired.